This conference will now be recorded.
Let's call the August 5th meeting of the Monroe County Commissioners to order. If you would join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on the agenda is the final public hearing for comments on the CDBG CARES Act application for funding in the amount of $307,452. And we have with us Martha Robbins. Martha, if you would like to begin your presentation.
Sure. Morning.
Morning.
So today, the County of Monroe is holding its required second public hearing to be held as a joint hearing for all three entitlements regarding the County of Monroe's application to the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, which is known as DCED, for their Community Development Block Grant COVID-19 Fund, which is referred to as CDBG-C, in the amount of $307,452 to be used to prevent, prepare for, respond to the coronavirus. The deadline to submit the application to DCED is August 31st, 2020. The grant monies will be dispersed to Monroe County and the two entitlement municipalities as follows: $166,152 to Monroe County, $76,360 to Stroudsburg, $54,913 to Stroudsburg Borough. Based upon the counties and the two entitlement municipalities' public needs hearings and funding requests, it is proposed that the grant monies will be used to undertake the following activities and projects, all of which meet the eligibility and fundability requirements of the CDBG-C base. Monroe County, $136,245 for emergency mortgage assistance payments, excluding East Stroudsburg and Stroudsburg Borough. $29,907 for program administration. East Stroudsburg Borough, $43,832 for emergency mortgage assistance program. $18,784 for a hand sanitizer station. $13,744 for program administration. Stroudsburg Borough, $37,261 for emergency mortgage assistance program. $15,968 for hand sanitizer station, and $11,684 for program administration. Following this public hearing, the County Commissioners will consider the approval of the CDBG-CB application and its submission to Pennsylvania DCED by August 31st, 2020, by the adoption of a resolution.
What's the logic behind all three entitlement groups, the county and the two boroughs, using the money for mortgage assistance?
Well, the reason, if Monroe County was to do the mortgage assistance program itself, then that would exclude East Stroudsburg and Stroudsburg Borough. So in talking and speaking with them, they decided that they would incorporate some of their money into the mortgage assistance for their residents. And I believe East Stroudsburg is going to tag on utility assistance.
Utility what?
Assistance, which is for their water.
But the question is, why not more in things like, well East Stroudsburg apparently is putting in hand sanitizing stations. I mean, how did the group come up with mortgage assistance as being a valid and appropriate use of the funds?
Wow.
I'm basically asking you the question about why not rental assistance? Why not?
Well, in speaking with even yourselves and the boroughs, there's a lot of rental assistance out there, and there's a lot of business assistance out there, and the one thing that seemed to be missing was the mortgage assistance to the residents. And with us dealing with CDBG and the housing rehab, we see a lot of, I'm sure we will see a lot of mortgage payments being missed. And in order to prevent the foreclosure or whatever, we decided that this will be a one-time grant to these residents, up to $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month for 3 consecutive months. What the money is going to be used for is to fill that gap. If they got money from somewhere else and they don't have that no longer, then the 3 months will kick in to help them stay and have a roof.
I was trying to give you a slow ball down the middle for you to hit out of the park, but it related to the amount of COVID rental assistance money that is funneling into the county, but to my knowledge, none that relates to mortgage assistance.
Correct.
So while we're keeping those, hopefully keeping those who rent in their rentals, this is pointed at trying to keep those who might be just barely scraping by with mortgage to be able to maintain the properties that they're purchasing.
Martha, is your office for the administration, you're the clearinghouse for
The mortgage assistance.
the mortgage assistance?
Yeah. I've been designing the guidelines and tailoring the application. We feel that at this point, we already qualify low-income families through the housing rehab, so we thought this was a perfect opportunity to extend what we do to help with the mortgage assistance. So we'll be taking the applications.
But there won't be any, is there fiscal constraints on this if I make X amount of dollars?
Yes, low income. There's income guidelines that they have to follow, just as we would follow for the housing.
And how long is this program?
So the funds are all expensive.
So this could go into 2021,
Money can be expended up to September 30th, 2021.
See, I'm more direct with my slow pitches over the bit.
Oh, you probably did the math. You've got 136 or 136 months of assistance. Now divide that by the number of people who.
They're only allowed 3 months of assistance.
Correct.
And it only goes to principal and interest. It doesn't cover any kind of taxes or legal fees or any kind of, late fees. It's only going towards the principal.
Since it is a public hearing, are there any questions from the public? If not, thank you, Martha. Moving on to the agenda, public comments or questions about agenda items only. At the end of the meeting, there'll be an opportunity to ask whatever questions you might have that don't relate to agenda items, but the beginning of it is targeted at items that are on the agenda. Seeing none, let's move to old business, and do I have a motion to approve the actions listed in numbers 1, 2, and 3, which relate to accepting the minutes, the ratification of opening bids for the parking deck maintenance project, and the amendment of a motion to increase the price of a security camera?
So moved.
I will second. Sharon is on vacation this week. That's why we're missing our third person. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have no proclamations or certificates. Under new business, do I hear a motion to accept the actions listed in numbers 1 and 2, which relate, 3, 4, and 5, which relate to the approval of the personnel agenda, the approval to work additional hours, the electronic financial transactions related to vouchers payable, gross payroll, and health care benefits, as well as travel authorizations. Let me go back and say I'm looking for a motion to accept the actions listed in numbers
1 through 2.
1 and 2, which I define, but it does not include the travel authorizations. That's a separate. So I'm looking for a motion on the actions in numbers 1 and 2.
So moved.
Or 2 and 1. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There are no travel authorizations. The Monroe County Area Agency on Aging, is there a motion to accept the actions there which relate to the execution of contracts?
I'll make a motion.
I will second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Under item 5, the Monroe County Children and Youth Services, a motion to approve the actions listed in numbers 5A and B, which are the execution of purchase service agreements and the execution of 4 adoption assistance agreements. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
I will second.
I'd like to point out that BB, NB, and NB are all siblings and are all going to be kept together.
For all what, Tom?
Being kept together as a family.
Excellent. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Under the Commissioner's Office, do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in 6A through O?
So moved.
I will second. That's the 2 budget adjustments, the appointment of an individual to serve on the Northeastern PA Alliance Board, the ratification of acceptance for a proposal to put gravel in the coroner's new parking lot, the approval of submission of the Emergency Solutions Grant, the approval of the request of the Assessment Office to conduct their assessments for this year, which relate to 2021 electronically, the approval of a preventive maintenance agreement, the awarding of the bid, which was listed at the beginning of the agenda, the low bidder, the approval of that awarding of the base bid, a ratification of the grant agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Commission on Crime and Delinquency for a coronavirus emergency supplemental funding grant, the approval of submission to the DCED for the Community Services Block Grant Discretionary Fund proposal in the amount of $40,000, the approval of an agreement with the CAP system with an amount not to exceed $40,000 for a case management tracking system, the execution of a grant agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of State to be reimbursed for the purchase of voting machines, software, scanners, and privacy booths, the execution of the following agreements for the health care benefits program for Monroe County employees, and they are listed there 1 through 5. The approval of the 2021 fiscal grants budgets for Fund 770, and they are listed 1 through 7. And then the addition of 5 vendors to the county list of approved vendors.
Mr. Moyer, I'd like to point out that the PA Commission on Crime and Delinquency, that $109,000, that money is going to our local police. Part of that money is going to our local police departments to take care of expenditures that they had for the coronavirus pandemic that we're all dealing with. And the other part was used for the courts so that the implementation of more, how can I say, teleconferencing for hearings, so that it's on a more robust system.
And I would also point out J&K that we are spending $40,000 on. When we receive these funds, we are obligated to try our best to make sure that we are providing services to unduplicated individuals, so that when the Moyers show up at the XYZ food bank, they can't then easily go to the ABC food bank to get food service. And up to this point, it has been very difficult to ensure that we are serving unique family groups. This program will allow us to do that. The other one that is very important over the next few months is item M, which relates to the employee health care benefits program. It's one of the larger expenditures that we must make as a county to cover health insurance for our employees, and I am pleased to report that primarily through the wise use of healthcare programs, there is no increase, or will be no increase, in the fees that we're required to collect for our employees to cover their health care for the period of October the 1st through September 30th of next year. So we've been very fortunate, knock on wood, to have no increases in health insurance over the past 3 years, and I chalk it up largely to the fact that employees are at least beginning to understand that the way that they use healthcare today influences the amount that will be paid for healthcare in the future. So, very pleased that we don't have to tap our employees for more money, nor in fact will it cost the county more than it did for the past 3 years for health insurance. And this is something that is not being seen apparently in the private sector. We have a self-insured health insurance plan, and we're just very fortunate that our employees are using that benefit wisely. Is there any other discussion? If not, in favor?
Aye.
Aye. How about number 7, the motion to approve the 5-year grant agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Drug and Alcohol?
So moved.
I will second that. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item 8, do I hear any motion to approve the actions in number 8, which relate to the hazardous material emergency preparedness grant?
So moved.
I will second that. Commissioner, would you comment on what that?
What that does is this allows for a study. We're always updating it every 2 years of what hazardous materials traverse through Monroe County. And we found recently we've had a vendor from the Lehigh Valley who does a fantastic job of formulating that for us so that we know what kind of materials are traversing through 80 and Route 33, 209. And it gives us a sense of preparedness.
And that information obviously is passed on to the
Fire companies, everybody
that would respond. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do I hear a motion to accept the actions listed in agenda item number 9, which relate to the execution of policies and guidelines as recommended by the Act 137 Affordable Housing Board, the adoption of a resolution authorizing submission for funding for the CDBG CARES Act, and the approval of changes to the Monroe County Demolition Fund guidelines to better define site control and ownership?
So moved.
I will second that. Is there any discussion?
Sure. Would Martha like to talk about the new guidelines for demolition?
Sure.
I'm sure she would, being the media hog that she tends to be.
Well, as you know, Monroe County does have a demolition fund program, and of course, the authority are the administrators of that. So we did a round 1 funding application to the municipality, and I don't know if it got kind of mixed in with the pandemic time and whatever. But we had a few calls in reference to the site control. Apparently, site control is very difficult for the municipalities to
Control.
okay.
To oversee.
So taking those concerns and taking it back to our board and determining what we could do to change that. So we just kind of relaxed the rules a little bit to add a couple more items to the guidelines to not have the site control right there, but after everything is completed with it, the demolition is done, then the site control would,
In other words, they have to stabilize the ground after they're done so that there's no runoff. They have to hay and seed it and so on.
We didn't want to make it difficult.
Right.
At the same time, we still want to make sure we have things in place. So we're going to do a round 2, send out another round 2 applications to the municipalities.
Excellent.
And pray tell, where does the redevelopment authority get the money to put into this, or how is the money put into this demolition fund?
Well, similar to your Act 137 funds, coming out of the recording of mortgages. So there's a fee tacked on to the deeds, and one you have for your Act 137, and now you have one for your demolition fund.
And what's the approximate amount in the demolition fund?
Probably 600,000.
Yeah, there's a good, maybe close to that.
And do you project that when you finish these guidelines and get them back out, you'll have municipalities that are ready to jump in and start using the money?
Yeah.
Good.
So Martha, the municipality has to be the applicant for this?
There's The municipality can, the land bank can, nonprofits can, we make that available. The economic development can also.
So the IDA, if I had a building that I had to demolish, I could go to the IDA and they could put in an application for me, correct?
Are there limits on the amount of demolition funds that can be expended?
Oh, no. Wait, there it is. Either 30 or 40.
1,000.
Which is, if you're taking down an older dilapidated building, helps.
I think, in fact, when we demolish the building adjacent to the building in which we're sitting, we applied for and received not the necessary funds to do it, but a help toward the demolition of that. So we don't have much anticipate. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say we don't anticipate tearing down anything else. We do probably look forward to tearing down PNC at some point for the expansion of the courthouse. But I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Any other discussion on the redevelopment authority?
Martha would probably say no because we've made her answer so many questions today.
She wouldn't do that. No other discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Under capital outlay purchases, do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in 10A and B, the ratification of capital purchases, and the approval of capital purchases dated, both of those dated July 30th?
So moved.
I'll second. Is there any discussion? If not, in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Under item 11, do I hear a motion to approve the actions listed in item 11A and B, which is the ratification of computer capital and the approval of computer capital, again, both dated July 30th?
So moved.
I will second. Is there any discussion? If not, in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Christie, any miscellaneous?
None.
The only thing I would point out under miscellaneous is we have a plan in place that this afternoon we will have on our website and other sources throughout the Pocono the availability of a survey for internet connectivity that we would like people throughout the county to try to, well, not to try to complete, to complete. Individuals and businesses have been asked in the past, what's the quality of your connectivity, and the answers that are received are largely sort of subjective and individualized. Like my connectivity is crappy. Well, crappy isn't a term that you can give to an agency to say, poor Moyer has crappy service over at the corner of such and such and such and such. But with this program, we're asking that the survey be completed using the computer or phone that you use in the location that you normally use it. And there's a component of it, and I took the survey the other night. It does take less than 5 minutes to complete, but basically you're asked to locate on a GIS map your specific location of where you're responding to the survey. So you put in your address and a map pops up, and in my case it showed the intersection of Hollow and River Road in Shawnee. I clicked yes, and then it said test your speeds. So I hit the appropriate link, and it gave me something called ping, which I don't understand any of these things, but somebody that makes the decisions about providing service will, but it gives me a ping speed, a download speed, and an upload speed. And you write those down, and when you get back to the survey itself, you fill in what you've got. The beauty of this is that it is objective, and it is situation specific, location specific, so that when we're going out to vendors to try to improve service, we can pick out pockets of poor, adequate, and excellent service and design the remediation programs appropriately. It works if and only if we get a lot of responses to it. personally, I hope we get 100,000 responses to it so that we have a pretty good picture of what the entire county looks like. I question what would I do if I was in an area that had no internet connectivity. The answer was if you can use your phone and if that's the way that you get on the internet, then the survey is set up so that you can respond in that way. So it gives you both, or gives us both, the ability to track where signals are received for the internet as well as where phone service signals are received and the quality of those signals. So that's coming out this afternoon. We plan to put it on our website, the Chamber of Commerce website. We plan to, and we have in fact had Channel 13 announce it. It's on hopefully all of the representatives and senators' website, because the internet connectivity throughout the county is something that is important to us, especially during this time of COVID, with a number of people trying to work from home and maybe not being able to because of their connection speed. And just as important, schools, and I have to admit I haven't followed exactly what the school systems are doing, but many of them plan to have a remote component. At least some of them, I think, plan to be remote completely, although don't take that at face value. At any rate, the ability of kids to get on the internet to interact with their teachers is important as well. And again, if connectivity is a problem, that's a problem on which we need to work. So stay tuned for that.
We have it divided out too for teachers, students, businesses. So if you're a business, you know, it gives us a better idea of what's happening. We did some with some teachers, and it was interesting, some of the comments, that people don't realize that if I'm a teacher and I'm trying to make a video or do a class, and my kids are in the house also and they're connected, you know, the signal strength is only as much as you pay for. So you can get necked down rather quickly.
Can't see you as a teacher. I can see Martha as a teacher.
Oh, Martha teaches us everything. Every time she comes in and meets with us, we learn something.
I'm always sitting at the feet of the master,
yes,
or the mistress, whatever the case may be.
Her ladyship, Martha.
You're speechless.
I am.
Red, too.
Is there any public comment?
Can I ask about the survey that you just talked
Yes.
about?
Oh, no.
My turn.
John, take this down.
Where are you going to go with the survey then? What do you plan on? What are you going to get out of that? And are you looking for funding to help with this, or how are you?
That's a very complicated question, Martha. Let me back up and say one of the other announcements I should have made is the county has received about $15 million in CARES money, and I'll back up and parenthetically say it's very, very difficult to track where all of the CARES money is coming from and what it is to be used for. We have taken, or tentatively scheduled out of our $15 million, a substantial amount of it to help small businesses, tourist-related businesses, and nonprofit organizations. And I'm not sure what our number is, but we're sitting right now with probably close to 200 completed requests for money to backfill the problems that businesses and nonprofits have had. We're using an amount of it to improve our own infrastructure. That is, the ability of citizens to get into our system in the event that they need to do more business in the future remotely rather than in person. And we're providing money to municipalities to prep for the possible resurgence of COVID. We're providing money to some of our nursing homes, our fire companies, our ambulance corps. All of that drops down to, we also provided $500,000 to throw at, and I don't mean that lightly, but to use for trying to improve internet connectivity. So once we get this, we'll have a better idea of what can be done. 500,000 isn't going to go very far in solving all the problems of Monroe County, but we may be able to identify particular pockets that through the magic of technology we would be able to better serve. One of the things that I learned through this is, and it was said before, my house sits at the corner of River and Hollow Road in Shawnee. My cell phone signal is abysmal. I mean, it is absolutely terrible. And the survey basically lends credence to that, because when I told them what my ping, download, and upload speed is, the statement was made, I'm amazed you can ever connect to the internet. Well, if a crow flies over and intercepts a signal, I can connect to the internet. But there may be something that could be done. Oh, what I was getting to is, I happen to get phone service through Verizon, and my Verizon phone service isn't all that bad. There are some people, and we get, as a result of this, we get information back from the person who completes it as to what his or her carrier is for internet and also cell phone. But what I learned through this is that mine isn't any better outside of Verizon. If I went with AT&T or any of the other providers, it's no better than Verizon. So I'm stuck with Verizon as the best I can get in my location. However, there are pockets of individuals in the community that are with Verizon, and just because of staying with the company that you've always had, because whoever wants to change phone or internet providers, their signal would actually be substantially improved if they were with, I'm just pulling AT&T versus Verizon. And I think that's information that's important to get out. In some cases, people don't have internet service because the signal is not capable of reaching their location. In other cases, better internet service is available, but it would cost more money for that service to be provided. So to some extent, we're looking at this as a guide to us of what we can do in the short term to correct pockets of disconnectivity, if that's a word.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have a question. When is, I'm sure it'll be on this site, but when is the survey due by? Like, what's the survey period?
I don't think we've set any limit. A couple weeks.
Okay.
But it's neat in that it comes back into our GIS
system.
You know, what's GIS stand for? Information.
Geographic information.
Yeah, where everything is identified with a longitude and latitude.
But again, you can turn around and you can see that if you're using Blue Ridge at home and your upload and download is such, and your neighbor takes the same test and their upload and download is greater and they're also on Blue Ridge, might be because they have a more, a larger plan that's all it takes is to upgrade the plan, to suit your needs. The other thing is it's important for businesses. We talk to businesses about even if they have a fiber optic line, sometimes they don't utilize it as much as they'd like to because it's a single source. And if something happens and you have all your stuff in the cloud and a car hits a pole, you can't retrieve what's in the cloud. So some of them are looking for, a backup system. We have a backup system here. We have one carrier, then we have a backup carrier.
I think it's also important for places like libraries, too.
Mm-hmm.
The one,
right.
Where I'm very familiar with service.
And it's very difficult to figure out what the new normal is going to be, but I suspect whatever it is, it's probably going to include more remote transfer of information from person to person than in person, at least for the foreseeable future.
I mean, so many people are working from home, and if people are trying to come to this area and telecommute to New York, New Jersey, the Lehigh Valley or whatever, it's important that they have the service that they need to provide that.
Just so you know, CDBG does have this competitive money, and I know through doing the COVID one, broadband was an important activity that you could do. But with the competitive, there's a lot more money available.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing, the rules and regulations of CDBG are, very stringent. So one of the things that you could probably do is put them in low-mod areas, which would also help as far as funding, if it ever gets down to that point. We could.
She never ceases to amaze us, does she?
She redeemed herself.
She did.
Yeah.
Any other public comments?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. Thank you all.
What's the question?
Well, I got you on the block grant. I got that right from here. Your audio was perfect. Nice picture of you. I got you on the, what the hell was the other one?
We're doing everything we can to
The
get the word
survey.
out.
So if we want to reiterate, I'm going to get them to do. I got it. Now, I want to ask you this.
To have a post office box.
And it was great. You answered two of the things I was going to ask you straight up, so I didn't have to deal with it. I wanted to know how many people took advantage approximately of the block grants.
At a post
And,
office.
so we got
We'll
that.
send you
Would there be a
information about- make
possibility,
sure that
because I
you
know this is
match,
your baby
make sure you fill
forever,
out your census.
is there, somebody
So
told
we're
me,
doing
I think it was George, he
a
dropped to something,
large amount of
there's,
advertising to make sure that
the information came in on the reassessment, how sick and how it
On
is.
that topic,
Did you, are you able to talk about like
going
the,
around getting that information?
yeah, he didn't give me enough information to have a good question.
The door-to-door
They relied on for online.
Because he said, something came in that said how the reassessment is affecting people.
And
This is
normally,
what it's
in the
doing
past,
with their
they've
money.
had-
Like I
They've
said, I
had
don't have
people go
a good
door to
question.
door.
Doing that.
Is there any
Because of the
need to
COVID.
disseminate it without
Right.
having a good question asked?
How are you?
Or just, no?
But
No,
because
probably.
of COVID and to slow down
Yeah.
in the post office, they said that they
Well, I
wanted
think what's
to
brought
have
everything
some
to the
people
forefront,
go door to door.
Our
Tom,
planning
is the fact
department's
that,
heading that up.
School tax
And,
bills just came out.
Sharon has
So
been,
I think people are looking
Oh,
at it.
I got
like-
mine the other day.
Yeah, I did too. Mine went up about
So, if you want to, when you're
I
done,
didn't
you can go
compare
down
it to
and
my last
talk to
year.
Nate,
Well,
and
it's,
he will be more than happy
if you
to
look at
explain
what happened to your
Mark,
county
what's
township
happening.
compared to the prior year, you can sort of figure
But I
out
know
what's
that they
gonna
have,
happen.
of course, spreads out.
But that's all,
As best they can.
that's the only thing
That's
that I.
money
that you might be responsible.
Exactly.
Comes from,
Because there was
census
this, like, juggling
and
thing.
how they're
where
spending it.
One ball's coming from a little lower and the other
So
one's
the
coming from a
county's
little higher.
responsible
And
for that,
it's
or
pretty much the
We
same
have
act.
taken it upon
federal
ourselves.
government
What is it?
provide
It's funny.
I would have to, the federal government gives us money
So they
to-
can release it.
Yeah.
Hey.
get out
It's
the
a big
word
issue.
for the
Yeah.
census,
All of that.
Okay.
okay? And there's certain
You
guidelines
use
for
plural,
how
don't
it's
you,
all spent.
wives?
I'm on 3, so.
But I think it's that is